Doing good.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate you guys taking the time here today with me. I wanted to make sure first that you guys could see my screen here. If you guys can, you'll see the rear engine of the Lamborghini right here.
That what that is. I was thinking it was something off the movie Transformers, but it's very cool.
Yep, it definitely looks like it with all the exhaust pipes and all the welding. But yeah, it's a rear engine. It's a beautiful piece of art with twin turbo. So yeah, it's a nice little piece of motivation to look at in the mornings.
Yeah,
But
those pipes get hot. I can tell from all that coloration.
definitely, they are color coded actually. But with diving into the deck here, I wanted to make sure you guys could see that as well.
Hmm.
Awesome. Now, before also diving in, I wanted to make sure there wasn't anyone else that would be like a key decision maker or anything like that that we would need to add on to the call.
No, as long as my boss Taylor is on here, we're good to go. Ultimately, he's the shot caller, but I'm the voice. So
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, we'll roll with that. And again, it will actually all be recorded for you guys. So if you guys wanted to refer back to anything or even show it over to somebody that could be a potential key decision maker, feel free to get that. And I'll have that over to you at the end of this pitch.
great.
Now, um, really excited to dive into everything here today. And it's a hyper custom plan based really on the conversation that we had last time. And what I took away from that is we're trying to drive a lot more awareness to the asthma action plan. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
Yep, you got it.
Beautiful. Now, warning, I will repeat this again, and you guys will hear me say this a lot, but this is a very custom plan that you guys tasked me with. So what I'm about to show you, we're excited to get us started as soon or as slowly as you see fit.
Okay, great.
Now, shifting gears and moving into town square, don't read all the words on this slide. You're not going to get the time back. And I'll shorten it up for you because essentially what this says here is we have an arsenal of what we can really do at town square. There's a laundry list of stuff from connected TV to paid search, down to social media on every single platform. Seriously, if there's anything digital, we're already doing it.
Okay.
But the truth is, we didn't put in a lot of the tactics that you're going to see on this slide in your plan, in your custom plan, because it just didn't seem fit for raising that awareness for the AAP, the Asthma Action Plan. So I did also want to let you guys know with this slide, you guys are going to be in good hands. There's a lot more that we can do than what you're about to see in this plan. So that way, if you guys ever want to do across the bridge on maybe another type of action plan or something else that you'd like to advertise for, we'd love to hear about it. And then also being the Department of Public Health, you guys probably work with a lot of doctors and
Hmm.
practices, am I right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. So we would love to also work with them or be able to help them wherever we see fit as well.
Great.
Um, Now, moving forward, this will be the campaign overview. So this is pretty much a recap on our conversation that we had. And what I took away from it is we are really trying to target to asthma patients, parents that have children with asthma, and even a little bit of Spanish speakers. Did I get that down correct?
Yep, that's the audience we want to hit. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, the strategy from a low level will really be to educate these audiences, to show them the importance of having the asthma action plan, to hopefully result in them downloading it. Um, Now, before taking a look into kind of how I built out and what we're going to achieve, I wanted to dive into your current marketing strategy. So I actually laid it out right here. And we'll start off with what's working right now, and that's definitely the website. I don't think we need to change a single thing there. Not much to touch really, but direct mail is just like we were talking about last week in our conversation. I'm not really sure if it's extremely effective. We over here consider it more of like a spray and pray model to where you
Mhm.
don't know if people are actually receiving the mail. You don't know if they're just ripping it up immediately and throwing it away.
Right.
And aside from that, you don't know if that those people it even relates to them, if they aren't even an asthmatic. So with that, we definitely have a little bit more ways to be targeted with that and effective. But as far as the YouTube, the reason I put a question mark here is it seems like it isn't really achieving what you guys are trying to do with generating interest. And the view counts, they kind of speak for themselves there. So we'll hopefully be able to use a lot of the plethora really of videos that you guys have within that library to be able to convert that into a more generating interest.
Okay.
Um, Now, really here also, I don't believe that you guys have access to also being able to see how many people are downloading, or is that correct?
Well, we can see how many people are downloading on the back end. We do have Google Analytics, but because we're a government website, we're not able to pair our Google Analytics with media companies by like placing pixels and that kind of stuff. So we can see it. And that's how like I've kept direct mail in play because I can see an increase in downloads of the asthma plan right after we drop the mail. But I know, to your point, I know there's better methods of doing that. Like people are receiving it once, most of them go into a trash can.
Yeah, absolutely. And those methods are what I'm excited to show you here in a second, Eric.
Cool.
Now, I'm sure also, just like you had just stated right there, I mean, being the Department of Public Health, you guys probably have access to a lot of data already.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to show you is our team, we actually did our own research and we were able to dive into into the entire state of Connecticut. And we were actually able to find that these areas are where the highest asthmatics reside in the state. And across the country, you guys actually
Mhm.
have five top markets within the top 100 in the US. Were you guys aware of that?
Yeah, it has to do with the horticulture in the state. That we're a
Mm.
high humidity state, and so there's a lot of pollens in the area, which have a pretty huge effect on the asthmatics in the marketplace.
Yeah, well, that would definitely make sense. And that's a good piece of information to even hopefully be able to even apply to the campaign. But another question I had for you guys is with looking at a map like this, like we broke down Hartford, Connecticut, for example, as we saw that it was the highest area in the state of Connecticut. What are you guys currently doing in your marketing strategy, would you say, to target these zip codes to where we have the data on the higher asthmatics living currently?
I'm not sure I understand what I'm looking at here, so give me a little bit more information.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a map to where it shows you the areas, and the darker red is actually showing you where a lot more asthmatics reside. If you look here, it gives you the actual estimate of how many people are residing there that have asthma. And then if you look at it from the standpoint of compared to market average, there's a 400% or 493% higher likelihood that people in Bristol, Connecticut have asthma or
Where
that
this is
reside.
really cool. Where do you guys get this information from?
Yeah, so we actually have multiple different avenues to where we can pull a lot of the data from, but this one specifically is actually from AdMall. And then we have also access to millions of first party data through having a national footprint through our our parent company.
Okay, interesting. Um, I have not seen this data, so I can't say that we're targeting these groups of people, but if you're saying these zip codes are where more people are likely to have asthma, that's great because that's information we didn't have.
Absolutely. And that information is actually applied into the campaign, which we're about to get into here in even a second. But what I really wanted to do before just diving into some of the solutions is show you how they're going to be a lot more targeted. And I wanted to take it a little more step by step. So with starting out is first we'll dive into run a network. Have you ever heard of run a network, Eric?
Is this a tactic?
Yes. So
Got
this
it.
is the first way that we're going to be able to get you in front of a lot more eyeballs. It's essentially building awareness across the entire state of Connecticut. So we could run it in banner ads, for example, to where you guys during, let's say, the allergy season are running a certain type of ad, or you can even have it flipping to a different type of ad because these can actually respond to the weather. Even down to where if you guys wanted to run a certain ad, banner ad, for National Asthma Day on May 7th, that's something that we could even incorporate as well. And
So we know that when major thunderstorms come through, that a lot of people have asthmatic events as a result of, the turmoil, the increased humidity, and the pollens that get tossed around from thunderstorms. So are you saying that you have ads that would change when the weather changes that way?
yeah, so we are actually tapped into the National Weather Service. So we would be able to have those ads responding. So, for example, thunderstorms are on the rise. We could have an ad that displays that or is pushing a lot more awareness during those times.
What if the thunderstorm isn't happening over the entire state?
We could actually have it just displaying in certain zip codes, and that's how targeted we can get, is have it just displaying in the zip code to where the thunderstorms are happening.
That's interesting. No, that's really interesting. I haven't heard of that before.
Beautiful. Now, any other questions as far as run of network goes?
No, not at all. Except real quick, pause role play just for a second. What you might do is get accustomed to reading the slides and not reading it, but following the slide in a circle. Remember that spiral? So the
Yeah.
next tactic is run of network. sprays and praise everybody to provide awareness, to kind of go to the bottom and be real
Yeah.
specific, because this tactic is supposed to make people aware by delivering those banner ads to all the devices, and then kind of get into the cool part. You did a good job. I just don't forget, the slides are kind of designed to get you to say all the basic stuff you need to say, and then you get the cool part in the middle.
Yeah, this one I didn't really follow my notes, so that's why I hovered immediately over like banner ads, and I was like, yeah, but yeah,
It's all
I'll
good.
start to try to follow that into the next one.
Dude, you're doing great. You sound really good. Keep going.
Appreciate it. Awesome. So moving off of run of network, the next solution that I had picked out for you guys was actually programmatic audio. This is also an excellent way to be able to grow brand awareness. And normally when these audiences are going to listen to something, they're a lot more willing to learn. I mean, think about it. Do you listen to podcasts, Eric?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So when you're going into it, don't you normally have more of a listening or a learning type of mindset, you'd say? Or you're more
Yeah, I get
open to
really
learning?
focused on it, and like other things are less important as I'm really absorbing that content.
I love that because this is actually to where we can hit audio segments or audio ads in between those podcasts and any type of radio streaming that's happening online, Pandora, Spotify. It could be as short as 15 seconds. It could be as long as a whole minute. And one of the
Okay.
best parts about these ads is they are non-skippable. So they wouldn't be able to skip over it. They would have to listen to the whole message. And definitely an area again to where if people are already going in with the learning mindset, it's a great way to be able to drive that awareness and hit them in that mindset.
Okay, interesting.
Now, what kinds of questions could I answer as far as programmatic audio goes?
I see there you have targeting segments there. So are you saying that people that speak Spanish will be the ones that get these audio ads if they're listening?
Yeah, so we can get super targeted with programmatic audio. We can actually target it all the way down to where we know that more asthmatics are living. We can target it in their zip codes, but we can absolutely target audiences that speak Spanish because we see that they're visiting a lot more articles or have their phone settings actually set up within Spanish as their
Oh,
primary
that's
language.
cool. Okay. Can you deliver my radio spots? I guess they're not radio spots, but they're audio spots,
Mhm.
um, within Spanish programming? Because I would want to make sure that my radio spot played in like a podcast someone was listening to, but the podcast would have to be in Spanish.
Yeah, that's actually a really good area to explore, Eric. I'd have to ask our team, but I mean, one of the great parts of programmatic audio is with our backbone being in radio 30 years ago, starting in radio, it's definitely an area that we have a deep expertise in. So I would be able to relay that question and get back to you with my team.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. But other than that, no, I think I'm good.
Beautiful. Well, moving on. Now into YouTube TrueView. So I'm sure YouTube TrueViews, or at least as far as YouTube, is something you're probably familiar with, maybe even use it every day.
Yeah, use it regularly. Sure.
Beautiful. And this is also another tactic to where when we see people going in, or from a standpoint of an audience going, they're usually going into YouTube to learn something, whether it's like, hey, how to fix my garage door, or it's learn how to cook a new dish. That is to where you're going to be going in with a learning mindset. But what's one thing usually that everybody has to face with YouTube is that quick ad, right? Right at the beginning.
Right.
How often would you say you skip those ads, Eric? If you had to
Every
put a
time.
percentage.
I mean, seriously, I'm there. Last night I used YouTube to help my teenage daughter through math, and I don't understand like the new math. Um, and I skipped every single time there's a commercial playing. They don't mean anything to me.
Wow. Okay. Well, see, that's because, well, I mean, well, let me hit you with this first. What if I was to tell you that our completion rate of those ads when we place them to the right audiences is over 70%?
So I don't watch them at all, but you're saying that when you deliver them, 70% of the people you deliver to actually care about that video?
That is exactly what I'm saying. And a better piece of YouTube Triview is it's effectively free because if they skip that video at any point, you're not charged a dime. But if they do watch it all the way through completion and we target the right audience and the right person to watch that full ad, it's only 15 cents out of your pocket.
And here I see again the targeting segment. So you can target people that are articles in Spanish. What does the articles have to do with the YouTube piece?
That's a great question, Eric. So I think actually when I was putting my deck together, I should have had this on the next tactic that we're about to dive
Mm,
into that is related to a little bit more in articles
okay.
and being able to display ads in articles. But essentially here, we would be able to target Spanish speakers still.
Okay.
And if they're watching, let's say, a video in Spanish, definitely an area that we could have that ad displaying. But this is also to where when I had the question mark with YouTube earlier, it's just because you guys are displaying your videos on a channel. That means essentially somebody would have to look up the Department of Public Health, go onto your YouTube channel to have access to any of those great YouTube videos. And a lot of those are heartstrung moments to where you're raising a lot more awareness to the campaign. So our design team would really be able to have, first of all, I'd be setting you up with our creative director right away to be able to chop up a lot of those videos, get them in good messaging, and really be able to display those ads, whether it's, again, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute. And we can get very targeted. So if somebody even has a child that has been diagnosed with asthma in the past year, we could have that ad displaying to them, not just also on YouTube. It could be on the YouTube app as well. So you could hit it on their laptop, their phone, or even their tablet.
Okay, that makes sense.
Beautiful. What question?
I do have a question. So,
Mhm.
of course, you're not the only media company that I've been talking to.
Yeah.
And the two other media companies that I've been talking to have very specifically been trying to get me to buy STV. And you're not, you're different. You're coming to me with YouTube. Can you help me to understand when you decided to build this strategy, why you went with YouTube instead of something like STV?
That's a great question, Eric. So the reason that I actually sided with YouTube TrueView is the fact that we can get a little bit more targeted. STV, streaming TV, is going to be hitting them on any of the devices really within their home. But that means that one, your kids could be getting those ads who are not going to want to go and drive awareness, or it's not going to achieve the mission of driving awareness and getting them to convert and go on your website and download it. I don't think
Mhm.
any 14-year-old, even if they have asthma, is going to do that. And then even from the other standpoint, what I will say is streaming TV could be a good tactic. It's just really the reason I sided with YouTube is the fact that you can get a lot more targeted. And for what we're trying to achieve and reaching those asthmatics and having the data on where they reside, this would be a lot more effective, in my opinion.
Okay, I appreciate that. I just wanted to get a feel for why you were a little different there. That's great. Yeah, keep going. It's
Absolutely.
good.
And one thing I will say, Eric, is we do offer STV. So if it is something that you feel like would make a huge impact, it's definitely something that we could reconsider and see where we could also add that into the campaign as well.
Okay, and you could deliver STV only into those zip codes you showed me earlier?
That is a good question. That is something I'll have to double check, but I believe that we would be able to target it into some of those zip codes.
Great. Off role play real quick. Little feedback.
Yeah,
Good
they
job.
flipped it on me. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to make it more difficult every time because that's what clients will do. Two things. Number one, I like how you danced a little bit around the STV YouTube piece. I was interested to see what you would say there. And let me give you something just to think about.
Hmm.
One reason why YouTube may make more sense in this kind of a situation, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, you're wanting to reach everybody in a state that could have asthma. And many people don't watch STV yet. It's not as popular. And so therefore, if you're going to use STV, you're not going to be able to reach nearly as many people as YouTube because everybody uses YouTube. So you have a little bit of a
Yeah.
scale issue with STV. Um, Plus, you already said it a bunch of times. Like when someone goes into YouTube, they're mentally more
Educational.
open. When you're watching STV, you're not. I'm watching a sitcom or I'm watching a movie. And the commercials are really more of an interruption, frankly, because my mind
Hmm.
isn't really open. It's focused on the content I'm absorbing, not necessarily the thing I'm trying to learn. So
Yep.
you could leverage that learning piece and efficiency. Like think about how much less expensive it is to get YouTube out to people as opposed to STV and all the free branding. Because what's the main crux of the issue with this campaign? Education. People don't know there's an asthma plan and they need to know why it's important. So therefore, video becomes important. All video educates, but this is an educational medium. And so it's
Yeah.
the perfect place to reach that person. Does that make sense?
100%. You set me up
Cool.
for a slam dunk, but honestly, when you threw the biggest thing that I think threw me off was the articles in Spanish, because that just threw off my whole flow right there to where I was like, how am I going to dig myself out of that? And then once I did, I was like, all right, where was I at? So, but that's good practice because
That's
that's how it's going
sales.
to
Like
happen
that's the
live.
process. And
Yeah.
also it's a good reminder to curate your deck, to go back through and look at all your little bubbles. Oh man, that's Spanish speakers. Let me change that really quick. And just because though, I mean, all in truth, sadly, some business owners will look at that one little thing and be like, "Ah, man, they're not buttoned up."
Mhm.
The other proposal may have been a little more expensive or something. It didn't seem quite as cool, but it was really buttoned up, and I just don't want to worry about little mistakes. So I'm going to go with that one. Like there are people out there that are like that. So I just kind of good job. Back to role play.
Beautiful. So any other questions I could answer as far as YouTube goes?
No, I love the free thing. If someone doesn't complete it, that's amazing. Like the health department couldn't ask for something better. So yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Well, one more solution I have here to show you, and that's actually to where the articles kind of got pulled in from the last slide. But
Got it.
this is
Okay.
keyword targeting. You ever heard of keyword targeting, Eric?
Well, I know paid search is keyword targeting.
Yes, along the lines of it. So with keyword targeting, it is essentially going to be whenever you're reading an article and you ever see a little ad or a banner ad pop up next to the article. Has that
Yeah,
happened to you?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So again, when you're going in already with that learning mindset, it's obviously when anybody is reading an article, they're going in with that education mindset to where they want to learn something, or they're going in to even learn about new things to do into the state of when moving to the state of Connecticut. Even for articles for new parents. So with the targeting segments, it can be almost limitless to really how we can get this in front of people with a much higher likelihood. But at the end of it, we could also even just target the people that are in those zip codes. Now, a really good way of being able to incorporate this in the campaign as well is it does also drive a lot more of generating interest and building that trust because somebody's going in already to read an article and you're able to also have something that falls along the lines of the article and you're not selling a product. You're also just making somebody more informed on something where they
Mhm.
were already going in to get informed.
Got it.
Um,
Okay.
but this would also be able to be delivered throughout a banner ad or a video, as you've probably already seen when reading articles online. And what questions do you have as far as keyword targeting goes?
So would you be delivering videos or banner ads here?
So we could do either or. That would really just come down to our preference. Personally, I think we should go with the banner ads to where if somebody's already reading something, you could stick it out. But I mean, vice versa could also work to where we have people that think, okay, if a video is playing and somebody's just looking at text, that will stick out to them more.
Got it. Okay. No, that makes sense.
Beautiful. Well, moving from there into pre and post launch support. One thing I did want to say is with going and moving forward with us, you will have a full team of but pre to support. See, this is where I was trying to remember it off the
Actually, do
top of
me
my
a
head.
favor. Do yourself
Uh,
a favor real quick. Take that full funnel slide and move it before this one.
okay.
Because what you really want to do is finish whatever your last tactic is, and then immediately go to that funnel and ask for my opinion without pitching, and then and then you do the assumptive close. Because the goal here is get my mood up. What do you think? Well, I think I like programmatic audio, or I think I like YouTube. Pat me on the head and agree, and then assume the close. Man, I'm so glad you're excited about the YouTube. I am too. I can't wait to see that when we get started.
Mhm.
I'm assuming the close. And by the way, when we do, let's talk about what you can expect. And then you can just go right into those 4 bullet points. Just a really natural segue into that assumption of the close.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I was already doing the assumptive close before I even got into like the actual pitch. And then
It's all
it
good.
makes more sense to bring the money in right at that very end.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, if no more questions as far as keyword targeting goes, moving
Nope.
on. This is really just to be able to lay out and go back through the full funnel marketing campaign for you. I laid out obviously your current marketing in the black, but I went ahead and put in the solutions that we just went over and how they fall into the funnel. So really with building awareness, being able to incorporate run of network and YouTube TrueView will give you a much better way of being able to target and build awareness within those audiences, just like the zip codes that I showed you and the certain segments that we're trying to hit. Much more effective than just getting those direct mail pieces out there. But really, from a generating interest standpoint, we could get a lot more listeners through that programmatic audio and even keyword targeting to where they're already in that learning and educational mindset. They want to go in and be informed. We can continue to inform them, especially when we're being able to target it to the right audiences there as well. Here I did throw in YouTube channel for you just because we'll be able to use those videos when it comes to YouTube TrueView. But hopefully then going from there, we're able to drive a lot more awareness, which in result will be a lot more eyeballs and result hopefully into more downloads on the asthma action plan, as you even just seen only through direct mail a little bit.
All good. So off role play, do me two things. Number one,
Okay.
take programmatic audio, which is a pure awareness tactic, and get it out of interest because it doesn't belong there. It belongs all the way up next to YouTube TrueView, right? Because YouTube TrueView and programmatic audio both do the same thing. They just deliver a medium to an audience that you can target. Um, and so those should really kind of go next to each other because frankly, YouTube isn't more targeted than programmatic audio. They're kind of neck and
Yeah.
neck. So we want to move that around. Second thing is, and I say this from a position of support,
Uh-huh.
repeat after me. I took the time to take your current strategy and my recommendations and put them on the consumer funnel.
I took the time to take your current marketing strategy, my recommended solutions, and put them on the marketing funnel.
So as you look at this, do me a
So as
favor
you look at
and
this,
share what you think. And
and
then
then just
shut up.
pause.
And then shut up. Yeah, it's okay. You repeated the same mistake you made yesterday, which is
With
okay because
repitching.
you're excited. I know why you're doing it. You're doing it because you're passionate and you're excited. But keep in mind when you get to this slide, if you do what you do and you start going, hey, remember I picked you because of this, and
Mhm.
you risk saying something that will unwind all the good work you did to this point. Because remember, you took me through run of network, you got me to understand it, you tied me down, and I agreed I liked it. And then you did the
Yeah.
same thing with YouTube and programmatic audio and keyword targeting. Like you've done the good work. Don't rebake the cake when someone has it on a plate.
Okay.
So remember, all you're doing is you're fishing for a compliment. I took time to take the current marketing strategy and my recommendations and slapped them on the slide together. So if you don't make any changes, this is what you would have. When you look at that, just do me a favor, share me what do you think and shut up and let them sit, let them give you the compliment that you at this point have earned. And then take that compliment, assume the close, and move past the slide. Because this slide should take maybe 15 seconds. It should be really
Okay.
quick. Back to you.
Beautiful. So I'll restart from here.
Totally cool.
All right. So moving then onward, I did want to reiterate for you, Eric. I've taken the time here today to really be able to take what you guys told me with trying to drive that awareness to the asthma action plan, laid it over your current marketing strategy in the marketing funnel, and really put my solutions on top to show you how we'll be able to effectively drive a lot more awareness to the AAP. But take a second to take a look at this hyper custom plan and let me know what your thoughts are.
I can see where you're going to be more effective than direct mail. Like as I went through the proposal, it just kind of occurred to me that direct mail has been something that we've done for a long time, but it hasn't really been working very well. And I like how many people I'm going to be reaching between the run of network, the YouTube, and the audio piece. I'm going to be reaching a lot more people, I think, than direct mail ever reached, which that's exciting because it's the right people.
Absolutely. And I love that you're excited about all three of these too, Eric, because again, the whole point of these three is also to be able to get targeted as well. So
Yeah,
not only are we just going to be able to reach a lot more people, we're going to reach a lot more of the right people, especially based on that data I showed you. We're going to be able to run with that as well.
cool.
But any questions as far as this before moving onward?
No,
Beautiful. Well, when we do get started with you guys, first, I wanted to let you guys know, even before we start, we're going to have a full team that's going to be supporting you. And then throughout the launch of the campaign, while it is live, we'll be making live optimizations, and you will have the full support of not just myself, but our full sales team and our campaign specialists as well.
okay.
Now, moving from there, as I've also referred to throughout this conversation, we do have a full design team. We actually have 6 creative directors within Ignite, and we will be setting up a call with one of them so they can be able to really get your vision. And it's also nice to talk to somebody that's not in sales or campaign optimization because it's really just they're able to take your vision and your goal and be able to bring that to life.
Cool.
And with the current video library that you guys have, as I also referred to, there's definitely a lot of room that we're going to have to work with.
Okay.
Now, moving into strategy and campaign support, all the way from our in-house media buying team to also the optimizations that I've been referring to, we are also going to be giving you live reporting as well. So you will have a live reporting dashboard to where you can actually track your campaign performance. And there will be multiple reporting calls to the point to where if you guys want to run them bi-weekly as we first launch in the first 90 days, I have no problem with that. Or if you guys even wanted to be like, hey, let's take it from a more hands-off approach. Let's just get the reporting, live analytics report every week, and let's just do a monthly quick meeting. That would be totally fine as well. But one of the biggest things I wanted to leave off with from this slide is maybe based on some of the conversations that you are having, we will never come to you with vanity metrics. We're always going to come and be focused on actual metrics, because nothing in this campaign that I built out here for you guys is opinion based. It's all custom and it is data driven. So at the end of the day, that's how our metrics will be focused. It is going to be data driven metrics.
Okay, makes sense.
Beautiful. Now moving into the media plan. Here is where you will be able to see those tactics laid out for you, into where we're going to be essentially hitting the YouTube TrueView for about $4,000 a month. Going into programmatic native, that will be about $2,000 a month. But one thing I did want to remind you with the YouTube is it is only about that 15 cents if they do watch the full ad. And if they don't, you won't be charged for it. But going into programmatic native, with that, it's only about $2,000 a month at media cost of, not going in internal jargon. So
Yeah,
it's about $2,000 a month.
Let's pause the role play.
Uh-huh.
You're certainly not painting a story that I'm excited about. You're talking about the cost of things, right?
Yeah.
So I would take a half step back and then step forward with it. And how you do this is kind of unique to you. Everybody kind of has their own flavor.
Okay.
Let me remind you of my flavor, just so you have something, right? If we reverse the roles, as you can see, I'm asking for a $96,000 investment for a year. It's $8,000 a month. However, you have the right to cancel at any point in time, right? Not a big deal. You can kill it after 90 days.
Yep.
To skim what you would get, and then I would go top to bottom. Remember the YouTube TrueView piece? So as you can see right here, I'm going to guarantee you 26,667 times consumers in Connecticut are going to watch that video without skipping 1 second. And the only people that would sit there and watch that video are people that have asthma and care, right? Why would anybody else? That's great. And I don't even talk about that's $4,000. Like, I don't even mention that because they can see that. Like, what's the point? And then second thing, so remember the programmatic native, that's where we're going to be delivering you to people reading articles, getting them onto your website. And as you can see, I'm going to get 251,000 or a 250,000 times every single month. I'm going to hit people who are reading articles with an opportunity to learn more about your asthma plan. And then last but not least, that programmatic audio. So as people are listening to Pandora and Spotify as they're cruising around the state of Connecticut, I'm going to target them and have them hear about the asthma plan 90,000 times a month. And then you could do the whole thing Taylor was talking about the other day, where you kind of add up the columns loosely. So basically, almost 400,000 times every single month, this campaign is going to be targeting the asthmatics and the right audiences, Spanish speakers that you want to talk to in Connecticut, which should clearly increase the number of downloads. How soon can we get started? Story, story, story. Skim, skim, skim. But I do recommend always leaning into the biggest number on the deck.
Yeah.
And having the confidence, because a lot of salespeople are afraid of the big numbers. But if you have a good plan, the big numbers aren't scary to a business owner. They can see, holy crap, this plan's going to make me a lot of money. I don't care about 96 grand because I can see $1 million behind this. I'm absolutely willing to do that. And a good salesperson, a good consultant knows that. And they say, look, 96 grand, that's what I'm asking for. And I have so much confidence inside me knowing you're going to make a lot of money. I have zero problem starting there. It's going to be $96,000 a year. Now, just so you know, and it's totally okay for this scenario, there was only a 3-month window. It's not an annual campaign, but that's okay. It's a little nuance. I don't care. But do me a favor, take a step back, take another opportunity on this slide real quick.
Beautiful. Oh. All right. So then moving on to the media plan.
Yeah.
Really where we'll be going from here, Eric, is I'm asking for an investment of 96,000 over the span of a year. Breaks down about $8,000 a month here.
Okay.
And one thing I do really want to highlight for you is both parties do have the right to cancel after the first 90 days.
Okay.
So we don't want any hostage clients. We don't want to tie you up. And if it's not performant, that's how confident we are, is that we retain our clients through our performance.
Can
So
you
if
fire
we're
me
not,
at 90 days or can I only fire you?
it is a two-way street at the end of the
Cool.
day.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we're also not bringing in somebody that's from that standpoint, it works on a two-way street.
Cool.
But with yourself, Eric, I don't think I'd ever be in that scenario.
I don't think so.
But with going into breaking it down a little bit further for you, you remember when we were talking about YouTube TrueView? That's going to be about $4,000 a month, but it's going to be getting you in front of 26,000 people that are going to be watching that full ad the whole way through. Unlike yourself, where you're skipping all those ads, these people are going to be watching it the full way through, and that's how many people will be able to get you in front of monthly. Now, going into programmatic with keyword targeting, that's where we'll be getting you displaying essentially on the ads. That's to where it's only about $2,000 a month, but it's getting you in front of over 250,000 eyes that are already on those articles in that educational mindset, like we've been saying.
Okay.
Now, moving into programmatic audio, that is also to where it's only about $2,000 a month, and we're getting you in front of 90,000 listeners, almost 91,000 listeners driving around in their car around the state of Connecticut, listening to Pandora or Spotify. We're going to be playing those radio ads. And one thing I do want to reiterate with all three of these solutions is how targeted we'll be able to get. Really here, I only have the zip codes highlighted with the highest asthmatics. But as I've showed you even through the previous slides, we can get very targeted even down to the audiences themselves. What questions can I answer?
Yeah. I mean, this looks really interesting. I like this strategy. You guys have put a lot of thought into it, which is really cool. I'm a little concerned that we won't get downloads, that we're not going to be able to measure those, which worries me a little bit. And I just don't know if you could speak to that.
No, I love that concern
Oh,
too, Eric, because I remember that you stated that in our initial conversation that looking at it currently, that you weren't able really to gauge the downloads except for off of the direct mail piece. So let me ask you this: if you had seen a conversion from the standpoint of when you were doing the direct mail, which we both agreed is not very effective, in getting in front of those target audiences, wouldn't you say being able to target to those specific zip codes with the solutions that I've laid out here for you today would be a lot more effective? And in return, if direct mail increases downloads, you don't think these would increase your downloads by a lot more?
yeah. I mean, I guess they might. It's just weirds me out a little bit that we wouldn't be able to see them and tie them to the campaign.
Definitely. And I wish it wasn't within the health sector, because there are sometimes ways to where we can tie that, or even sometimes even add like a pixel. I don't want to get into data talk, but with this specific campaign, I don't see a single way that with driving this much awareness, which, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the mission of building out this full
Yeah.
custom plan, was to drive a lot more awareness, not the downloads themselves. With putting in an investment of $96,000, achieving almost getting across about, let's say, almost close to 400,000 people a month that are in the state of Connecticut, in the zip codes to where the highest asthmatics live, with the traits to which people have that are normally asthmatics, I know that we'd be able to increase those downloads.
And I guess, look, it occurs to me that no vendor we've worked with, direct mail included, has been able to show us the actual downloads. We've always had to kind of look at when did we do the marketing campaign and did we see more downloads occur right after that time. And so it's kind of an even playing field. So I guess I get your point. And role play. Good job. Good job navigating the objection. In all candor, I heard 90% of it. My 3-year-old walked in and asked me to make bubbles for him. And so I was like, I muted it, and I was doing a really good job of trying to do both at the same time, but I still caught how you handled the objection. And most importantly, you identified it was a true objection. It wasn't a BS one, so you didn't need to use your bucket. So I'm proud of you for internalizing it. Like, you actually heard what I said, you digested it, and you gave the correct response. And I'm fine with the way you argued against it. It's like,
I
look,
didn't regurgitate it though. I was supposed to say it back, wasn't
it's
I?
okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be perfect, dude. I'm not looking for perfection. But you did a good job of talking about, look, there's scale here and targeting here better than what you've experienced in the past. Like all things being the same, and you're adding more scale and you're adding more detail. Don't you think you're going to get better results? Like, wouldn't that be normal? That's a fair argument. Taylor, what do you think? Like when you think about more specifically to the close and the objection at the end there, and then we'll talk about the whole thing. But what did you feel from that?
Yeah, I mean, you handled the objection well, and I think you like were regretting that you asked if you had any questions. I feel like that's an okay thing to ask, especially when presenting the pricing and everything.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like, and that's where you feel the objection. So like, I feel like it's like a natural thing to say.
Mhm.
And yeah, you continued to flow really well throughout the whole pitch. And are you sure you don't want to be a DSL? Because I think you'd be really good at it.
Truth.
I appreciate it.
Dude, you did great all the way through. You really did. And I always keep in the back of my head that this is not what you do as a core, and yet to Taylor's point, like you could blend in as a DSO fairly easily. Do you have more need for depth on just kind of the details and how things work? Yeah. Um, but you do a really good job. A couple of things that I give you feedback wise.
Mhm.
I love your energy. I love how much you smile. You're very smooth. You're engaging throughout the entire process. Um, Good job on transitions. Good job opening. Um, Good job on pretty much all the tactics. Um, I would like to hear you use the term your target audience less
Okay.
and say who the target audience is, right? So instead of, and this is designed to reach your target audience, say, then this is designed to reach those families that have asthma. Like that's what this is designed to do. Because then you're speaking my language. You talk about target audiences, that goes back to clicks and you know, that kind of stuff. It kind of falls in that bucket of jargon. So maybe try to get away from jargon a little bit. You did a great job on skimming everything. I'm fine that you mentioned the price. This is 4, this is 2000, this is 2000. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Like I don't do it, but you can do it. Um, Dude, I honestly, I'd give you like a BB plus on this whole thing, and this is your first time going through the whole deal. Good for you. How did you feel going through it?
Today I felt a little more shaky,
Okay.
to be honest, especially around the tactics for some reason. I felt like I was like a little off. Plus, I was trying to do things a little different from yesterday, so it didn't sound the exact same way. Because that's how pitches is usually probably going to go. Is like even if I do get into the sales side and I'm practicing these pitches and I practice it 2 or 3 times the night before, when I go in the next morning, it is going to sound different than the ways I practiced it the night before.
A
So.
little bit. I mean, seriously, not that I want you to, but you go into that
Mhm.
folder that has like 50 pitches of me. I sound the same every time. Like I explain each tactic the same every time. And that's actually this is one piece of feedback I do want to give you, and it's a good piece because I think it'll really help you. I think you do it because you're excited for really how cool everything is and all the data that we have, but you kind of over explain tactics a little bit. And
Okay.
so what I'd like to challenge you to, here's a challenge. I'm throwing a gauntlet down to you. I want Mo to be able to explain every tactic in like 2 sentences and no more. And that's the tactic and what it is, not its cool factor, not telling a story, but what its function is. I'll give you an example. I think about YouTube. YouTube allows us to deliver videos to your target audience in those skippable videos. And it's used to provide awareness to those people that are in YouTube to learn something, right? And that was 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And that's the basics of what the tactic is. And then you can add, and in your case, right, we can reach moms that are going on YouTube that have kids in the household or like whatever it is. And as they're going to like research how to make dinner, I can deliver you in that video that they can skip. And if they do, by the way, it's free. They skip 1 second of it. If they watch the whole thing, it's only 15 cents. Um, or keyword targeting. I'll give you 2 examples. The 2 sentence version is keyword targeting is when we take banner ads or videos and we put them right next to an article that someone is reading as they're reading it, as long as that article has keywords in it that are relevant to the health department, to your asthma plan. So it's real-time delivery. So in your case, someone's sitting there anywhere in the state of Connecticut and they're reaching anything or they're reading anything about healthcare, childcare, asthma, like anything that makes sense and you can help me with what those segments are. I'm going to put a video from the health department right next to the article while they're reading it real time. So it's super relevant. They can click right to your asthma plan. So try to think about breaking the tactic explanation into two parts. Here's what it is, the technical couple of sentences version, and here's the picture that I kind of paint for you. So you don't have to worry about the explanation as much because now you saw what it does. And then it makes it really crystal clear and it keeps you away from having to over explain, things. Just makes things real poignant. Does that make sense?
100%. I one of my things throughout most of my career that I've had to work on is like shortening things up. Even when it comes to recruiting and explaining a role, sometimes I could ramble. So that's a really good piece of advice, is like just shortening it to 2 sentences. And yesterday I felt like, at least maybe based on my own memory, it was like probably a little bit of a better job because I was
You were more
like
succinct. Yeah, seriously, your explanations were a little more succinct yesterday. Yes, today they drug out a little bit. So look, I love that you have the insight that I ramble a little bit. Because I actually used to do that too. I had to get over that personally because I like talking, I like being heard. So I'm glad that you know that. So for you, like Taylor may have the picture of his mom and a sticky note, right, on his computer. You should have a sticky note, right? One that says maybe slow down, and the other that says use less words.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's just a visual cue. Those visual cues are paramount. And then you won't need them. Like you'll have it for 30 days and you'll throw it away because you'll just be over it. And then hopefully another sticky note pops in, ask for referrals, right? Or whatever that next thing is, because we're always optimizing, we're always evolving.
Yeah. 100%.
Good job.
Thank you.
Take that breath. I saw it. Like,
yeah.
Good job, dude. Like, that's sweet. Overall, dude, I couldn't be happier about where you're at. That's right. You deserve a round of applause.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, I definitely want to break and then we'll get back and we can kind of do your stuff.
Okay.
Which one do you want to go through? You want to do the urban mattress one?
Yeah, I don't have the deck ready for the other one. So I figured we'll do the urban mattress one today. I mean, like if you want, I could try to put something together quickly for the end of today, but I probably would feel more comfortable running through the deck tomorrow morning.
Yeah, let's do that. Look, the truth is the delivery is the delivery is the delivery. Like in 2-3 months, I should be able to give you guys almost any deck that someone else created, if it's a good deck, and you should be able to just pitch that just based on what it is, right? Because it is what it is. So let's do this. Let's give you guys a little time, because that was an hour and 15 minutes of Mo just going at it. I love it. And by the way, you're going to get to the point where you'll be able to pitch these things in 20 minutes. Like it's going to be fast. Like, and it's so easy to pitch quickly when you're telling stories because you get fewer questions coming back at you, so you can actually move a little more quickly. Let's get back at the top of the hour. It gives you 45 minutes to go chill out, grab a bite, kick a dog, do all the stuff I talk about every time, eat some Cheetos, look at the ceiling. I'll see you guys back at 2 your time. And Taylor, let's give you an opportunity to go through it. That's it.
Sounds good.
See you in a bit.
I might join just like a minute or two late. I do have an interview for Justin Abbott that I have to jump into and greet, but that's at 2 p.m. So he should be in there early, hopefully.
Sounds good. We'll see you then. Either way.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right. Bye.